Hi, this is Cheryl McQueen, designer with Bello's Designs. Today's tutorial is a Christmas card featuring the three kings. I saw something very similar on Pinterest, but I can't find my pin to give credit for the inspiration. This is a fairly easy card to do, and you can make multiples fairly quickly. So let's get started by looking at the supplies that we're going to use today. We will start out by using a multifarious Smooth and Supreme quart cardstock. This one is cut to 4 3/4 by 3.5 inches. We will then do a frame around our artwork. This is just cut out of regular cardstock to 5 by 3 3/4 inches. The card base is made from a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I've cut that in half and then just folded the piece in half to create our card base. For the stamps today, we're going to use the Lavinia 3 Kings and a Star. This one is LAV 090. And we'll be using a sentiment stamp. This one I've decided to use the Peace on Earth stamp. For our inks, we're going to use the VersaFine Clair Nocturne for our stamping. And then for our colors, we're going to use the Distress inks by Tim Holtz and Ranger. This one is the Chipped Sapphire for our sky background. And then for creating our desert, we're going to use Wild Honey, Rusty Hinge, and Vintage Photo. For the shadows under our camels, we will use Black Soot. To give a little bit of grounding to the camels, I've also used a fine tip black ink pen. We will need some water so that we can mist and create our stars in the background. And then to create our North Star, we will be using the Lavinia masking sheets. These are wonderful masking sheets. I use these quite a bit for a lot of my projects. If you would prefer to use a sticky post-it note, this one is one that is adhesive all the way over. That works as well too. This I use for smaller projects so that I can save my Lavinia masking sheets for my larger projects. We'll be using some blending brushes and some daubers for our project as well. And when we go to put our project together, I will be using an adhesive running tape. You can also use a paper craft glue. And then for the stamping, I will be using my stamping platform that has a sticky grid. The sticky grid helps me to be able to do my stamping projects without the use of magnets. All right, so now we are ready to start on our project. Before we get started, I did forget to mention that you will also want to use a hill mask. You can use the positive and negative of mask that you have, or if you'd like to do what I did, it's kind of hard to see. I took a piece of plastic film and cut it in half. That way I have a bottom part for using to mask off my hills and the top part for masking off my sky. So whichever method works the best for you. But you do need to have some hill masks on hand to do this project. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our art card piece and we're going to start out by making the sand portion of our card. What I would like to start out doing is taking my mask for my hills and figuring out where I would like those to be. And I like to do those just a little bit higher than halfway through. And another thing that I'd like to do is I'll sometimes take a piece of painter's tape and tape my card down. This way it doesn't wiggle while I'm working on it. Gives me just a little bit more stability. Go ahead and straighten that up just a little bit there. And then the same thing with my mask. So as I lay my mask down here, figure out exactly where I would like it, I'm then going to take a couple of pieces of masking tape. Oh, and I actually did that upside down because I want to do my hills first. So hopefully you can kind of see how that's laid on there. Then I'm actually going to tape down my mask as well for my hills. Again, I don't want to get too much wiggle in there. So we will take that and tape that down and make it nice and sturdy. And then we're going to move on to our wild honey. With our wild honey, I'm just going to take a blending brush to start out with and start slowly putting a layer down of the wild honey to get the color of my sand. And I'm going to cover the entire area to start out with. You don't need to worry about getting them real smooth. If you have variations in color, that's fine, because obviously this is a natural thing and we don't necessarily always have the exact same color all the way across. So don't worry about it having to be all solid. But get a good base down. All right, it's got a nice, good, solid base there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my other hill mask, the one that was the opposite of this one, because I want to leave this one down, and let's see what I did with that. Sometimes those things are a little hard to see. That's why I put this little bit of gold on there so that I can find it a little easier. So then what we're going to do is start creating our hills, and I like to put them at just a little bit of an angle. Let's see, let's go ahead and do this direction first. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rusty hinge. And I'm going to take a little bit of a dauber that I've got for the rusty hinge, because I don't necessarily want to have it going everywhere. I just want to have better control. So that's why I like to use the smaller ones. And so what I'm going to do is just gently flick down across the edge of my mask piece to create some shadows so that we can get our hill look. And then I think I will go ahead and do one maybe across this way. Just doing the same thing, doing some light little flicks down. Downward strokes I find are the easiest to do. And then we'll get one right down this way. And again, just gently flicking down to get that. Now, as you've got your mask still up here, so go ahead and take your rusty hinge and add just a little bit to the tops of your hills that you have at the very top of your sand. All right, so you can see that that's very fairly quick process. Now I do like to add just a little bit of another color in there to kind of give it just a little bit more shadowing. So I will use the vintage photo, doing the exact same process, but this time I'm just going to do just in a few little areas here and there. Let's see, maybe a little bit right on the top of that one. And just a little bit there. You can kind of pick and choose the areas that you think you want to highlight with just a little bit more of the color. And again, one of the reasons I like to do this is it just gives it a little bit more dimensionality and a little more realistic look to it. And then let's just put a little bit in a few places here on our top hills. Alright, and there now we have created our sand. So now we're ready to move on to the sky portion. With our sky portion, we're going to use our chipped sapphire. And now what I want to do is I want to protect my sand. So I'm going to take off the mask that I used up here on the top part that covered up the sky portion. And we're going to use the opposite side. We're going to tape that down. Get that lined up. And so we'll tape this mask down to protect our sand from getting the blue color on it. Now before we start doing the sky portion of it, we need to mask off where our star is going to be. So with that process, you can either use your adhesive sheet from your Post-it note pack, or you can use it from your Lavinia stamping sheets. And basically what you're going to do is going to take, and I actually have a piece that I've already started using, so you're going to take a piece of your sticky paper or your masking sheet, and you're going to take the star from your Three Kings package, and then we're just going to take that star and make a really quick image of it. And I'm going to just put a little ink on that, and it doesn't have to be perfect, because what you're then going to do is take that star and a pair of scissors and cut it out to create a mask. Now I went ahead and created one before. This is one that I used on the project. So what I've done is I've cut out the star, and I'm going to use that as a mask. So I'm just going to put this up here on my right hand side and place it down where I'd like for that to be. Now what this will do then is obviously leave the white background when we peel this off. So we will go to our chipped sapphire. And then going gently over the surface, we're going to add the chipped sapphire to create our sky. I like to do several layers because I do like my sky to be fairly dark. All right, nice good solid layer down there. Now before we take off our masks, we want to go ahead and create the stars. And the way that I like to do that, and I'm going to go ahead and cover up the bottom part that's not covered by my mask. I'm just going to cover that up with a little piece of paper. And then I'm going to slightly spritz the surface of where the sky is. And then I'm going to let that set for just one moment, and then we're going to take a paper towel and we're going to lightly dab that, and what that's going to do is that's going to remove the ink and give us the image of the night sky. I might do just a few more over here on this side. And the finer mist that you do, the smaller your stars will be. So if you want a mixture like I've got here, do a light mist first and then do a kind of a slow squeeze on your trigger here on your bottle, and then that will give you a little bit larger spots. And now that we've done that, we can go ahead and remove our masks. And there we go. As we remove our star, we get our star look there, and I actually ended up getting a big star right there by that one, but that will be okay. I might even be able to come back in a little bit and just darken that spot up a little bit. But you can see now that we've got the starry background and we've got our North Star. So now we'll be ready to go ahead and start working on our stamping. All right, so now we're ready to go ahead and put the stamps on for our project. I'm going to remove this that I have stuck down and stick it onto my stamping platform. Grab that real quick here, and we'll lay that down. I'm going to move some of my supplies out of the way here so that we don't knock them off the table. All right, so we're going to take our project and place it on our stamping platform. Then we are going to take our first wise man and place him on the right hand side. And then we're going to ink him up with the VersaFine Clair Nocturne. Now he is a solid stamp, and sometimes I find with the solid stamps I have to do 2 impressions, and that is one reason that I really like to use the stamping platform, because then that gives me a chance to restamp if I don't like how sharp the image is. Okay, so he looks fairly good, but I am going to go ahead and put one more layer on. So I'll ink up my stamp over here on the side. And give him one more little go. I like to make sure that I do even pressure over the entire stamp and then hold it down for just a few seconds, just to make sure that the paper has a chance to absorb the ink. And there we go. There is our very first king. So we will move on to our second king. And we're going to place him over here on the left-hand side. Right about there. And do the same process. And I'm going to touch him up a little bit as well, just because I'm the type that likes really dark, solid silhouettes. There we go. Got a really nice image on that one. And then for our final king, we will put him in the center, a little bit higher up so it looks like he's further in the distance since he's smaller. And I think he looks good, but we'll do one more little touch up on him as well. And there we go. Alright, and now for the final thing that we need to do for stamping is we need to put our sentiment. And I have chosen, like I said, the Peace on Earth. So I'm going to take that out of my package. And place that just down here in the corner. Whoops. And we will ink that up. And that looks great. So now that we're done with our stamping, we can go ahead and remove it from the stamping platform. And now we're going to add just a little bit of shadowing and grounding to make sure that our three kings aren't floating around. And what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to take the black soot, and we're just going to put a little bit of shadowing down here underneath each of the three kings. And what this does is just makes it a little more realistic, makes them look like they're actually standing on the ground. Just a little bit of shadowing there. And then for the final little element, to make sure that they look like they're grounded, we're going to take our fine tip black pen, and under the camel's feet just put a few little lines and dashes to make it appear that they're standing in the sand. And there you have it. All that's left now is for us to go ahead and put our card together. And so I am just going to take my running tape, grab my cardstock here that I've cut out earlier, and we'll start out with our frame. Very simply and very quickly, I'm just going to run my running tape. And then I'm going to mount that onto my frame. Now we've got that part done, and we're going to repeat the same procedure, but putting it onto our card base. just get that centered. It's a little harder to see with our dark background here to center it, but there we go. And now we have got our Three Kings Christmas card. Like I said, this is a great card to do in multiples because you can do it fairly quickly. So I'd like to thank you so much for watching my video tutorial today. I hope that you enjoy making this Christmas card that features the Three Kings. Remember to check out the DelBellosDesigns.com website for more tutorials on the design team page. Have a great day.